Hey guys, welcome to this video. We're going to talk about depositions, and I want to use an illustration about how you should answer questions. And we've covered a little bit of this in our video, the 7 mistakes when testifying, but I want to make this broader. This is just for depositions. And I want you to imagine that there's a knock on your door, kind of forget about COVID-19. Okay, knock on your door, you open the door, there's the police there, it's 2 in the morning, and they say, "We're arresting you because we are convinced you murdered your neighbor 30 minutes ago." So they take you to the police station. Again, imagine you don't have a lawyer. And they put a phone, a recording device in front of you and say, "We're going to ask you some questions." Now, you know they're trying to pin a murder on you. Okay? So when they ask you a question and you don't hear the question, okay? Maybe somebody's, rattling a cup full of ice or a door slamming or whatever it is, and you don't hear the question, maybe you only hear part of it, would you say yes? Or would you say, "Wait a minute, I didn't hear all the question. Can you repeat that question for me?" Well, if they're trying to pin a murder on you, I'd highly recommend that you make sure you know what the question is before you answer. So you've got to hear the question. That's step number 1. You got to hear the question. Because again, if they say, "Is it true that," and then it's garbled, "at 1:30 this morning," what do they say? You don't know. So don't answer yes or no or "I don't remember." Say, "I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?" So number 1, got to hear the question. Number 2, you have to understand the question. What if they ask you the question, you understand or you hear it, but it's in a different language? Or the police officer's using all sorts of words that you don't understand. Okay? And let's sort of tie it back to a deposition. They're asking you all these legal terms you don't understand. So you hear it, but you don't understand it. Well, don't say yes, maybe, no. Just say, "I'm sorry, I don't understand that question. Can you rephrase it? Or can you explain what you mean by this word or that word?" So again, you're in that police station. They're trying to pin a murder on you. You got to hear the question. You got to understand it. And then third step is you don't just like shout out an answer, or as that detective is asking you the question and you just shout out the answer. Let the detective ask the question. Think about it for a moment. What's the truthful answer to this question? And then the fourth step is only answer the question that's asked. So imagine that you're in that police station and the detective says, "Isn't it true that you entered your neighbor's house and you had a knife in your hand at 1:30 this morning?" Here's what you wouldn't want to say. Okay, you would not want to say, "No, that's not right. I had a gun in my hand as I stood over my neighbor's bed at 1:30 this morning." Don't answer it that way. Just answer the question. Was it 1:30 and you had a knife in your hand standing over your neighbor's bed? If any of that is untrue, you say no. Okay? You wouldn't go, "But you might want to ask me about the gun." Or you might want to ask me about 1:15 this morning. Or you might, no, don't volunteer stuff. Just answer the question. So again, you're in that police station. They're trying to pin the murder on you. You don't hear the question? Ask them to repeat it. You don't understand the question? Ask them to rephrase it. Or if there's a word or a phrase, or they say, "Now, when you saw that guy and then the other guy, what did you say to him?" Well, which him, right? I don't know who you're talking about. So you got to hear it, you got to understand it, and take a moment, think about what's a truthful answer to that question. Because you don't want to just shout something out when they're trying to pin a murder charge on you, and then you go, "Oh, wait a minute, I answered that wrong." Because they're going to zero in on that and say, "Well, let's ask you 27 other questions about that." And then finally, only answer the question that's asked. Now look, I don't do criminal law. I'm just using that as an illustration. Think about you're in a deposition. You're in a car wreck, an employment case. You are suing a credit bureau, suing a mortgage company. You're asked a question, you don't hear it. Again, maybe a door, there's noise that's being made. Somebody's crumpling up a piece of paper. Or you're doing it by Zoom and your Wi-Fi kind of glitches a little bit. You don't hear the full question. Ask them to repeat it. You hear the question, but it just doesn't make sense to you. You're like, "I don't know what you mean by the loss mitigation package, or the notice of intent to accelerate. What do you mean by that? Or what do you mean by, they name some part on a car or a truck or a train or whatever the context is. Say, can you explain that? Can you rephrase that so I understand it? And I may have mentioned this in another video. Only one time in 25 years of defending depositions, one time have I had a client say, I need you to rephrase that. And the lawyer says no. But I've always prepared my client. If they say no, then you just sit there. And so we sat there for like a minute, and the lawyer goes, are you going to say something? And I said, look, you asked a confusing question. It was frankly a lousy question. My client said they didn't understand it. They asked you to rephrase it. You said no. So we'll sit here till we leave. Or you could ask the question again. And, in my head, I'm going, ask the question again, you moron. But I didn't say moron out loud. That was just in my head. At least I don't think I said it out loud. But the point is, you don't hear the question, you ask them to repeat it. You don't understand, you say, please explain it. You take a moment, think about the truthful answer. What that also does is prevent the other side from kind of getting all this momentum where they're just firing these questions and you're saying, yes, 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 yes. And then they slip one in. Okay, so usually the way this is done, they say, look, I'm almost done. I'm almost finished. We're going to get you out of here. I just need to go through my notes. And so they just start asking these very obvious questions that are yes, 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 yes. And if you're not careful, your brain kind of turns off and you just yes, yes, yes. And then they put that one devastating question in. You're not really thinking about it. But if you go through this process of every question is, do I hear the question? Do I understand it? Let me take a moment, think about the truthful answer, and then I'm only answering the question that's asked. I promise it'll make deposition so much easier for you. This way I've been having people get ready for deposition, and there's more to getting ready for deposition. We usually take a couple of days, but if you have this framework, it'll really make it so much easier for you. And frankly, you can use this if you're in trial or whatever the context is, but specifically here we're talking about deposition. So just remember, a knock on the door, the police are trying to pin a murder charge on you. You're going to be real careful. Do I hear the question to understand it? Let me think about it and only answer the question. So thanks for watching this. Hope it's helpful to you. And I will catch you in the next video. Feel free to subscribe to our channel. Check out some of our other videos. And hope you have a wonderful day. Okay, bye-bye.